Hi, Ashish.
Hi, Martin.
So,
Hello.
so we'll start the recording now. Okay, we are going to talk about frevvo Lifeforms today, which is a plugin for Atlassian's Confluence wiki, but it is more. Ashish will tell us later, but we'll focus on Confluence especially. We have for all live sessions, we've prepared an agenda for today. If you want to take part, you can type in seibert.biz/live. A couple of people did already, and we already have a couple of people in the chat. Welcome to all of you. We have created a agenda that I'm just showing here in German, but the whole live session will be in English. So we hope that you'll all understand us. If not, you can just ask questions on the chat and we'll try to focus on them and answer them right away. So feel free to ask whenever you want. And now I'd say let's give the stage to Ashish. Maybe you can just introduce yourself for a short time, and then we'll start the presentation and you can lay out what you want to show us.
Not a problem.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. First up, Martin and Seibert Media, thank you for hosting us. We appreciate the chance. My name is Ashish Despande. I work for a company called frevvo. And we are, as Martin was saying, we're certainly partnered with Seibert Media as well as other companies. And we provide a product that does electronic forms and workflows in your browser, web-based forms and workflows using a very modern drag and drop design paradigm. So the bottom line is it's very easy to create these e-forms and workflows using just your browser and dragging and dropping. But at the same time, we also provide very sophisticated and powerful capabilities in the e-form. So it's not just a simple contact form, but it can be a very complicated business form.
So people who like what you say, they can use frevvo not only in Confluence, right?
Exactly. And I was just going to say that today we're going to focus on the plugin for Confluence. So you can design forms, create workflows, everything in Confluence. But the exact same product is also available outside of Confluence, and it is also available in a software as a service hosted environment, as well as downloadable, and you can install it on premise behind your firewall.
Okay.
Say for Confluence or outside. So for Confluence in particular, we certainly do offer the software as a service version in Confluence for production use, but it's very often makes it very easy to evaluate it. I know people are very busy and it takes a lot of, you don't have a lot of time to try things. So with the SaaS offering and Confluence plugin, you can try frevvo in, you can start creating your first form in literally 10 minutes.
Ashish, give us a short moment. I'm just seeing on the chat that people say that they can hardly hear you. I turned on the sound on our side. Maybe people can say if it has gotten better, and maybe you can also try to speak up a bit. And,
yeah, okay. I'll try and speak as loudly as I can. Hopefully this is a little better.
Yeah, we'll see. People will tell us.
Okay.
Just move on, and I'll interrupt you when we have more trouble like this one.
Okay, no problem at all. So what is frevvo? Real quickly, in the Confluence environment, frevvo is there's a frevvo server and a Confluence plugin. As I indicated, the server can be in your environment or it can be hosted, and the plugin is installed like any other plugin in Confluence. What it allows you to do is create e-forms and workflows in Confluence itself without ever leaving Confluence. So rather than talk about it, let me show you.
Yeah, I'll put it on your screen. And the sound has gotten better. At least
okay, fantastic.
One said it is better, and one said a bit. So we'll all scream.
Okay, great. So you can see here that I'm logged into Confluence. This is a demo server that we have, and I'm just logged in as a regular Confluence user. So I'm going to go to a page in Confluence. This is a regular Confluence page. I can edit the Confluence page and I can add whatever content I want. Oops.
Let me say that we assume that people know how to use Confluence, and we'll just focus on your plugin here. So if you want to find out more about Confluence, just contact us or see another live session that we earlier recorded, but we'll focus on the plugin here.
Absolutely. So what the plugin does is, if you look in Confluence in the Add menu, once the frevvo plugin is installed and correctly configured, and obviously if you have the right permissions, it adds some options to the menu here: form, flow, submissions, and tasks. So adding a form to Confluence is very simple. You just click Add and click Form. You'll see it comes to a page that says you want to create a new form, you want to choose one of the existing forms you already have. You can also choose from templates that your administrator can set up. So an administrator can set up some example forms that users can use as shortcuts for creating your own forms. So I'll just create a simple form, example form, click Add, and you'll see that when I click Add, frevvo will now bring you to the designer. And this is, again, from your perspective, everything is happening in the Confluence browser itself. Now, the form designer here is really almost one of the main screens of our application or plugin, so let me spend a couple of minutes on it. The right-hand area here on the right is where is the canvas where you drag and drop controls and put them into the form. On the left side is the palette of controls, and as you can see, it's a very rich palette. You have the standard HTML controls, drop-downs, radios, checkbox, text areas. You have some pre-formatted controls like date, email, money, phone, quantity, and number. Sections, repeats, tabs, and panels are grouping controls. So sections provide for collapsible sections. Repeats are repeating items. You can have simple things like email and phone number repeat, or you can also have very complex sections like your address or anything you want can be repeating as well. I'm sure you see that as a common use in business situations. Tabs provide for tab views, and panels are for multi-column side-by-side layout. Messages, links, and triggers are just static things on the form. A message is just some text on the form. A link is a hyperlink. Trigger is a button. Upload supports attachments. So frevvo forms and workflows completely come with attachments. You can have images and videos on your form as well as any number of submit buttons. Below the palette is the custom area. In the custom palette, you can create your own pre-created controls with laid out however you want, with business rules, validation patterns, whatever you want in there. Create it once. You can publish these controls to the custom palette, and then you or someone else can reuse that control in their own forms without having to recreate the whole thing. Very powerful capability, very, very commonly used by customers. So people will create a personal information control, an address control, various controls that especially where you have rules associated with those controls. And down below here is the properties panel. And this is sort of like every common paradigm where this displays the properties of whatever you happen to have selected now. And as you can see right now, it is displaying the properties of the form itself. So let's create a few, let's drop some things in here. Creating a form is as simple as dragging and dropping. So I'll drop a text control for first name, a last name, a date of birth, and an email address. Changing the label is as simple as typing first name.
And it's all what you see is what you get, right?
What you see is what you get, exactly. I'll note here right now that once the form is completed, you can also internationalize this form. So you can, the worldwide language support. We have customers certainly using our forms in German and a variety of languages, including right to left languages. So we have a customer that is deployed production forms in Arabic and English, the same form. So it's pretty cool. It goes from the left to the right in English, but goes from right to the left in Arabic.
So I can have the same form and offer it in different languages, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
You can internationalize it. I can. That's exactly right. Bottom line. So you can see here, I've created a simple form. There's 4 controls, change their names, labels, excuse me. But I look at the form and I see, there's a lot of space on the right side. Logically, it makes more sense for this to be in a section and to be laid out side by side. So to lay things out side by side, you take a panel, drop it in, and you can take a second panel and drop it in. And panels, as you can see, automatically float side by side. If you click on a panel and click on a style tab, you can see a width over here, and you can change the width, and it will automatically change to whatever you want. And then when you drop controls into the panel, you'll see that these controls will float next to each other. So
Ashish?
we created a 2-column layout with panels. The panels themselves are not visible to the end user, as you'll see when I try out the form. All right, I guess I think you can also click preview here, and you will see what the form looks like to your end user. So this form, the panel is just for layout and is not visible to the user. Quickly
Ashish,
look at some of the properties.
Just give me a couple of breaks where I can jump in. So because we have a question here. Cedric Weber asked, is your GUI, like the graphical user interface, ready for internationalization? Do you have a German or a French version of your...
Right. We do not have a German or French or a different foreign language version of the designer itself. So this particular, the left side that you see over here, the drop-down radio, these particular labels over here will be the way they are. But you can create right here. You can create whatever you want. I don't remember what the first name is, but in German. But
so the it's Vorname. But the people who create forms, they should know some German, right? Some English. Sorry.
English.
Yeah, some English.
Yeah. And we're working on internationalized versions of it as well. But it is not available right now.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, you need to know very few things, though. It's pretty easy to get used to dragging and dropping these things. At the end of the day, the end user does not have to know. You can see the form in their own language. Okay. Anything else you can answer?
Yeah, maybe the repeat. Until you showed me last time, it was hard for me to understand what a repeat element is, and I think it's a very powerful palette part here, and maybe you can show that.
Yes, I'm gonna show the repeat. Absolutely. Okay. So real quick, let me go through some of these properties, and I'm sure you've seen forms where controls are required. So last name, if I want to make it required, I simply check required, and you'll see a little red star appearing. And certainly instead of a red star, if you want a blue border or green background or anything else, you can very easily customize that as well in frevvo using custom themes. Visible and enabled are pretty obvious. Let's make the email address required as well. Help allows you to create context-sensitive help on the fly. So I can say email address must be valid. You see how an icon appears for help. You click it, you can see the email, the help text for context-sensitive help is available to you. Again, everything here that an end user can see can be internationalized, so you can provide translations for all of these. You can also, if you don't like the icon, you can provide your own icon, no problem. Hint is just a tooltip. As I hover over the control, you'll see the tooltip appearing. Error message allows you to customize the error message that is displayed. So I type some error message here. You'll see when we try out the form that if I type something invalid in here, this message will be displayed. Maximum length is the maximum number of characters. A pattern allows you to create custom validation. This is uses regular expressions. So let me put in a text here, and I will I'll use US zip code because I know what those are like. So a US zip code is 5 digits. I don't know if you can read this, so let me make it bigger.
It's no problem. The biggest problem for me, at least, is I don't know regular expressions, but I understand that I can somehow program your form that it will only accept those things that I have programmed are valid, right?
Yes, it's it's pretty simple. Regular expressions. They're very well documented all over the web, as well as on our, certainly on our wiki as well. Pretty much generally, if you want a regex for a specific pattern, you just put it in Google, German phone number regex, you'll find it. So it's very easy to create these custom validation patterns. Okay. There's also a lot of documentation available on frevvo's wiki as well. The other thing that you have in frevvo are business rules, and that's the only area in frevvo where you will find yourself possibly writing some JavaScript type of code. So I'll show you an example. It's again very simple. It's relatively simple, and we have lots and lots of examples. So I created a control called nickname, and I'll make it invisible. So by default, this is not going to be visible on the form, and I'm going to create a simple rule. So to create a rule, you click on the Rules tab, click plus to create a new rule, and let's give it a name. And this is again the one area, as I said.
Actually, I'm going to copy that from your wiki if I want ever want to use that, right?
Exactly. I was going to, in fact, I'm going to go there and show you. There's so many examples on there that what customers tell us is 95% of the time, if you want something, it's just go to the documentation, search for it, and you'll find exactly what you're looking for here. Again, it's not hard. It's basically most of the time what you want to do is show things, hide things, enable, disable things, and so on and so forth. And we have many examples. So what this is doing is saying if I have a last name, I'll make the nickname visible. Otherwise, I'm going to hide it. Okay. Now let me do a couple of other things in here.
Ashish?
Drag in a pad. Yeah.
Magnus Rode suggested you could list several regular expressions on a wiki page. For example, like telephone number. Can you show us in your wiki real quick?
Let's see. Yes. I mean, if you go to our docs wiki.
So docs.frevvo.com?
Yeah, it's docs.frevvo.com. It's easiest for me to find the rules wiki. But if you go to our docs wiki,
oh, it's not a Confluence.
It is not a Confluence, unfortunately.
No problem.
It is because it was created long ago, and it's
just jump it. I was just kidding.
To migrate. I wish it was. So working with rules. So there's and then here's example. Rule examples. Calculate a total, show billing, show hide message. There's I don't know how many examples there are here.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. I think that's
examples. Well, while I'm here, this is a very important site for learning about frevvo. Obviously, docs.frevvo.com. Really, the most important things are the first two links here: tutorials and evaluating frevvo. So if you click on evaluating frevvo and look at the version you want, like Lifeforms or Confluence, we provide a quick tour. So within 15 minutes, you can click on the playlist here and view videos of short videos, and then evaluation. How can you evaluate step-by-step instructions? And then in the tutorial section, if you click on step-by-step tutorials, there are actual extended step-by-step tutorials that show you how to do various things as well. Okay?
Yeah, and what I also understood is you have like two possibilities. One is that we can offer I can just like in 15 minutes, I can use your software as a service server for frevvo and create forms just like every other plugin in Confluence. I can just install a plugin and go. And the more secure version would be I can install a frevvo server on site in my intranet and then use that, right?
Exactly. And what we do often is we tell customers, feel free to use the SaaS service for evaluation. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to worry about installation and all that stuff behind your firewall. Just try it.
Okay. So let's go back to your form and show that it actually works.
Right. So now I'm going to create a few other things in this form, including repeats and all. And I'm going to go a little fast, okay? So I'm going to drop.
No problem. We won't ask questions. We'll just couch potato watch.
I'm going to put in a section in here. personal information. I'm going to drag my panel into it, drag my second panel into it. So now I've created a tab with a collapsible section, as you can see. In the second tab, this is where I'm going to create the repeat that we talked about. So I'll call it an incident, and an incident has a date, and it can have a description. Date, as you can see, has a format as well. So I think in Europe you might have it like this,
Yeah.
and you can set it to whatever you want. The description, the one other thing is every control also has a style tab here. So there's a top, really 10 things that people might modify. So I can make the description wider. I want its label to be red, and I want it to be, I don't know, whatever, bold. You can do all of that in frevvo as well very easily. Now I'm going to make this repeating, meaning you can have more than one incident. So I can drag repeat, drag the incident into the repeat. You'll see that now when something is inside a repeat, there's a minimum and maximum number that appears down in its properties. So I will set the maximum to 3, and I've got a plus sign indicating now that I can add things into this control. So I think we spent 10 minutes. I've created a form with tabs, with a section, with side-by-side layout, some custom validation, a business rule, a repeating control. One last thing about the section itself, I can add, there's security on it, so I can design, I can designate a role. When I designate a role, the roles here appear are the same as your Confluence groups. So when I assign a role to a section, the section is only visible to people who have that role or who belong to that group in Confluence. So
that's cool.
What was that?
That's cool, I said.
Oh, okay. It's like the paper form, where you have a section that is for office use only or for doctor use only. That's what it looks like. You can also have signatures on sections. So I can click this, I can click must sign. And now this section requires a digital signature before the form can be submitted. And the signature, the credentials will come from Confluence in this case. And then the last thing before we look at the form is these form and doc actions. So the doc action controls what happens to your data. Click on the doc action, you see a wizard coming up. There's a number of choices here. You can do nothing, you can send email, you can post it to your custom web application. There's a few other things that are Google Docs and paper visioning as a document management system. You can additionally send an email. So an example might be I have a vacation request workflow where I'm the employee, I request vacation, it goes to my manager. Let's say Martin's the manager, he approves it. It goes to the document, post data, it goes to my web application. But in addition to that, you might want to notify me and say what happened to my request. And Docurise is an advanced topic, which I'm not going to get into now, but it's for things like integrating with your own internal database and things of that sort. And then form actions. Doc action, as I said, controls what happens to your data. Form action controls what happens to the browser screen. You can display messages, forward users to a web page, and then there's a few Confluence-specific things that appear only if you're logged into Confluence, and I'll show these in a second. And then error actions control what happens if there's an error, obviously. So you may want to display a different message if there's an error. Let me click on one of these and say, let's type in a message. So we'll type, thank you. And you can see that all of these things can be customized using the data that's entered in my form. Okay, so not just this wizard, but every document and form action can be customized. URLs, parameters, messages can use the data that's entered in the form. So now that we've created this form, let's click finish. And you see that the form is now visible in my Confluence page. Now, because I'm the owner of the form and I have the right permissions, I can see an edit button and an X to delete the form from this page. A normal user would not see this toolbar at all if you're not logged in. Okay. Here's the form. You can see the form is embedded in Confluence. The embedding will automatically resize. You can. It's a little hard to see, but you can see the border around the form. You can certainly customize if you want it to be more prominent. You can change the colors. You can customize this however you want. But the point is that it nicely fits into your Confluence page and automatically resizes. Notice the submit button is grayed out. So with frevvo, you cannot submit invalid forms. And I'm sure you've filled out forms on the web where you get it, fill out the whole form, click submit, it goes to the server, thinks for a while, and gives you an error message. some developer has to sit and write the code that validates all of the content of the form, as well as whether all required fields have valid values. With frevvo, all of that is automatic. Frevvo is also very dynamic. You'll see as I type, the red star will disappear. That rule that I've forgotten about the rule. You see the nickname appear when I enter information in here. Date of birth, I can type something in here, and frevvo will accept that date of birth. Certainly a date picker is also available for you here, and it's pretty clever. You can type in a variety of formats, and it understands what you're trying to what you're trying to type is a date. Email address, let's say I type something in here and I make a mistake. You'll see that frevvo gives you an error instantaneously. It doesn't wait till you've submitted the form and comes back later. It says, aha, this is an error. You can see immediately that something is wrong. The custom error message we typed is here. Click on help. Oh, it must be valid. Now this is a valid email address, and frevvo recognizes it. Zip code, if you remember, I had a pattern. So 6 digits will not work, 5 digits will work, 5 digits followed by a dash, followed by 4 digits will work. I must sign this section, so I click sign. You'll see my signature appearing. This is the name, first name, last name, everything is coming from Confluence. Once the section is signed, it cannot be changed. So it is a true PKI digital signature. You can use the signature to validate that the data has not been changed.
Let me interrupt here.
No worries.
What you're saying, or what I'm understanding, is that I can use frevvo as a legally proof way to substitute my paper forms with my wiki and still have something like a signature on them, right?
Right. And it comes from, you don't have to actually do anything, you don't have to install signing software, or it's just integrated into a Confluence credentials. Okay?
That's cool.
Obviously, assuming that your Confluence is secure.
Yeah, we assume that.
So that's this part here, and then the repeat, as you'll see, I can add a second incident, I can add a third incident, but frevvo will not let me add a fourth incident, because if you remember, the maximum occurrences was 3. I hope so, at least I've forgotten. So I can type in something here, I can type on so-and-so date, I got a parking ticket, and, maybe a speeding ticket.
So this could be used for a, in Germany we call this Reisekostenabrechnung. I think you would call it a travel expense form or something.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is when the police catch you going too fast.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have that in Germany, right?
No. In Germany, this is not existing. We never get this.
Unfortunately, I get a lot of these, so that's why I use it in my demo. But what you can see is that the repeat makes it very easy for you to add multiple incidents, multiple repeating things in the form. And jokes aside, it's very, very practical in the business context. You have insurance, you have multiple homes, multiple emails, phone numbers, nicknames, whatever the case may be. I'm going to submit this form now.
Hold on, we have a new question here. Cedric Weber asked, where is the data actually stored? Can I attach structured data to Confluence topics?
I think so, yes. This form, in this form that I set up, frevvo does come with a submissions repository, and you can run that on top of any database you want. So the data is stored in the database for subsequent viewing as well. I think, if I understand the question right, you can also modify Confluence pages using frevvo forms, and that's the next couple of things that I'm going to show you as well.
Okay.
So hold that question for a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Submit, you can see it says, thank you for submitting my form. Now, one of the common uses, so that was the designer, how to create a form. So I'm going to just jump through some quick use cases that I see people using. So some of our customers, what they do is very simple use cases for these forms. Like, I've got a webinar or marketing event, I want registration for it. I've got a company picnic, I've got an internal survey. Rather than have the business user go to IT and say, create me a form, I want to view the submissions and so on. This is a mechanism to say, go to Confluence, click Add Form, drag and drop to create your form, and publish it. Now, how does that person view their submissions? So you can click on create a new Confluence page called Form Submissions. You can click Add and click on Submissions. Choose the form. Oh, which one did I? I'm going to guess. I don't know which one I created. Click Add here, and you'll see a submissions page. So by default, I forgot to do it over here. By default, the table, you can control which columns are actually visible in here. I forgot to do that, but you can always double click here. You can see the signature. You can see the document. By default, it will show you an XML version of the document, but you can also configure the form so that it shows you a tabular view of the data. So I'll skip that for now in the interest of time. But what people also do is click on this Excel button here. So after I collect all my submissions in Confluence, I can view them here, but I can just click Excel and download them to an Excel spreadsheet. So common use case is I create a form, it's simple, it's short-lived, it lasts for a week or 2 weeks. I'm doing a survey, an event or something, I'll collect my registrations information and I download it into Excel. Okay?
Ashish, may I jump in here, because I think it's going to be interesting for people to see that we actually used frevvo also for these forms, and when you click there, at least for the regular expressions and these things, I thought, oh, this is complex, but let me show to our clients and people who are interested in viewing this. We created this form here for our Chronik, and if I click on this page, we'll see a frevvo form in our public Confluence here. And actually we see two forms here. You have one form on the right side where it says stellen Sie eine Anfrage. This is a frevvo form here. And there's on the other, on the middle part, like the counterpart, you see the possibility to offer us an entry for our yearly chronic. And it's exactly the frevvo form that we saw as we designed it with required fields. With if you hover over these fields, it'll show additional information. It'll have these pop-ups here. If I click on the question mark, and I can just click on Absenden or Submit down here, it will also give me some more information about what can I write for the culture chronic. And that worked pretty good. And we have another form that I can't show yet, but it'll collect like the we have over 100 people who submitted this form, and it's in a Confluence page, and you can see that. So actually what I want to say is it's not that complex. I think that Ashish has to show us all these features to make us know that we can actually do a lot of things with Confluence, but it's very easy to start off, and it's very easy to jump in and create your own form within Confluence with this plugin. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, thank you for that. No problem, absolutely. That, you know, we have lots of customers where they buy frevvo for creating some complicated business form. The best example that comes to mind is Syracuse University in the US here. It's a pretty big university, and they bought it for the student admissions process. But when they deployed it, they use it for, you know, food. They have a cafe, the food service. So survey form for the food service was completely created by a business person. IT spent 5 minutes of time saying, create an account for them on Confluence, here's the documentation, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Very easy for people to use. But as Martin was saying, I wanted to also show you that you can also do much more complex business-related things.
Okay, first of all, we have another question that I would like to jump in with, which will lead you exactly to what I think you are planning to show us. Cedric asks, is it possible to create Confluence topics based on a form? I want users, for example, to create tickets based on simple forms and edit them in Confluence afterwards. Can you show us?
Yes, so I'm going to show you this example, and then I'm going to show you two examples. Okay, so here's the first form. Again, this is a use case that customers use commonly. So this is a simple form. There's a Confluence page here which lists the current registered users for my webinar. Okay, but I want to allow people to register using a form. So I go to this registration form here. I'm going to type in a first name and a last name. Fill this in, whatever. Type in a phone number and an email address, and I'm going to submit this form. When I submit the form, you'll see that you'll be navigated to a different Confluence page which says, thank you, we have sent a confirmation email, thank you for your registration. So a confirmation page is displayed to the user. If you go to this registered users page and refresh it, you see now how the Confluence page has been updated with the information that was submitted in the form. So I don't have time to show you how to do this right now, but if you go to our wiki here and scroll down a little to the Confluence plugin, you can see examples on creating, updating, merging to Confluence pages and workflows. And this is an example of, gives you very detailed documentation on how you can do what I just did, okay? So the example there is you can create a Confluence page from a form and display to the user a different result page. Okay. Now going to the second example, I think maybe this is the example that you were asking about. So in this example, this is again comes from one of our customers. They created what's called a client dashboard. So they have a number of pages here for their customers and a form that allows you to create those pages in a structured manner in the form rather than free form. So let me find a so called client GM. Now when I click submit, what's going to happen is frevvo is going to create a client page in Confluence for GM. So if I go back, you see that this is a child page of the form page. You can put it anywhere you want in Confluence. You need a parent page. But in addition to that, it's also created a link. You see this link here. Click here to edit this information. So what the customer is doing is saying, look, I want my client, their client page is obviously much more complicated, has a lot of data, but they don't want to enable this edit button for these pages. So they don't want people arbitrarily editing in any form, any manner that they want. They want the editing of this page to be controlled in structured manner. So I can click here to edit the information. When I click, you see how we go back to the same original frevvo form, but it is pre-populated with the information for the client. Now I want to add a phone number. I click submit, and you see that frevvo will bring you back to the client page in Confluence, but it has been edited with that information. And this value is that you cannot type a bad phone number or email address rules. All of that is automatically available in frevvo.
What happens if you click edit above?
I mean, you can edit it in Confluence.
Okay.
But typically, you're going to set up your Confluence so that this is not available.
Yeah. Okay. Understood.
So did that answer the question? I hope it did.
Cedric has to answer, but I think that this is the answer. Yes.
Okay. And then the last example. I know we're short on time, so I apologize. I'm going a little fast. Is a workflow. So here is an example of a workflow. This is a simple workflow. It's a vacation request workflow. Looks just like a regular form. And again, if you're not the designer, you will not see this toolbar on top. When I click on edit over here just to look at the workflow, you see that the workflow designer is very similar to the form designer, except that what's in the workflow are forms, are steps. You can have things other than forms in here, like summaries, and HTTP can call out to external services. You see in the workflow that in this workflow I have two steps. They're the same form. One is both are vacation requests, but the second step has a role manager. So the workflow, when it executes, if you're not a manager, the first step will be performed by employee. The second step will be performed by a manager. You can also make it more fine-grained, so you can provide a specific manager in here rather than any manager. For the demo here, I've just created a single manager. Again, if you go to tutorials here, you'll see there actually is vacation request software in this particular example, a tutorial, which even shows you how to send it to a specific manager. Okay?
Okay. Just a short question that we also had was, is this data then stored only in Confluence or in the frevvo database also? I already answered everything is stored in the frevvo database, right?
Also.
Yeah, okay.
You can store it. It's customizable. You know, if you don't want to store it in the frevvo database, you click here and it's in the form. You can uncheck save and it won't be saved.
Yeah, okay.
Typically, you want to save it in the frevvo database when it comes to Confluence. Also, it does enable quite a bit of additional functionality.
Yeah.
In addition to Confluence and the frevvo database, using that doc actions here, you can send it all over the place. You know, you can post it to your application. You can send it by email. There's a lot of options for where you can save it to your own database, your custom database also if you want. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Let's take a real super fast look at the form itself. You'll see this form has a top section called vacation request, a bottom section called manager approval, which has a security role of manager on it. Okay?
Okay.
So when I look at the flow, now I'm logged in as a regular employee, I'm not a manager, so I don't even see the bottom section. Okay? So now I type my name in here. Now, I haven't done it in this particular example, but you can also automatically pre-fill this name and email address from your Confluence credentials. That's documented how to do that on our wiki. Okay?
Okay.
I probably should put that in this form. And let's say I want to take 5 days of vacation. I click sign this section. You see when I click sign, this button became enabled. When I click this button, frevvo is now going to see, oh, the next step is perform by manager. So it says, thank you, your request has been submitted to your manager. Obviously, as with everything in frevvo, you can customize this message as well. Let me just switch to a different browser here. Let me log in as the manager. And the other last thing to look at here is that in frevvo also there is built-in a task list. So creating a task list is just add tasks to a page. I already have a page in which the task list is added. And you'll see the task list displays your pending tasks or jobs or whatever you want to call it. Also completely internationalizable, so you can have all of this be in the language of your choice. Multiple languages simultaneously supported as well. Click on this and you can see all the history for a particular workflow, where it's gone, what happened. You can also provide some material, some comments here, which will be displayed below if you have provided comments. So I can see that I've got a pending request for Giorgio. I click on this icon and brings me back to that workflow. Now you will see, because of that digital signature, I cannot change this as a manager, which logically makes sense. I expect that I won't be allowed to just change the date of vacation that's requested. Because I'm the manager approval section is visible, so I can click yes and type in a comment, poor guy has been working hard. And I cannot finish this, I must sign this section. So when I click sign, my signature will appear, the finish button is now enabled. Now depending on the document actions that I've taken, this can do a whole lot of things. So one example is people will send it to their human resources system, document system, send a notification email to the employee that requested the vacation and display a message of thank you. So that is one example of a workflow. We have customers doing issue tracking workflows. So you can also create workflows that employee submits the original request for an issue, and then it goes between a pool of administrators. They can keep looping basically around the same step, saying I took this action, I took that action, I took that action. You can also create workflows where I can pass it back and forth between people. So let's say a workflow goes to the third step, I can do part of it, I can send it to Martin, he can do it, send it to someone else, send it back to me, and until it is complete, and then continue to the next step as well. You can also create workflows that go back. So if I'm the manager, I didn't like what I saw in there, I could have sent a workflow back to the employee saying you need to make the correction over here.
Okay, Ashish, let us thank you very much for this introduction. It is I can't say much about but that this is a very powerful plugin for Confluence, and I can imagine a lot of use cases. Let us officially, the time for presentation is over now. Let's just let's take maybe 5 or 10 minutes more to think a bit about what are the use cases, what can we use this for, what are the target groups, and what is, maybe we can start with that. What does all this cost?
Well, it's I guess the answer to that is I was going to say that you should answer that question, Martin. We generally work through resellers. I can give you an idea. Generally, the cost depends upon your version of Confluence, and it's somewhere between half to 2/3 of the price of your version of Confluence. And for larger versions of Confluence, we also do provide entry-level pricing where you can buy the plugin for if you have a specific project to do something. I just want to do a webinar request. I can give you a lower price just for that particular application because you might have a smaller budget for that. Mm-hmm. So roughly a fair estimate is somewhere between 2/3 to 3/4 of your whatever you paid for Confluence.
Mm-hmm. 2/3 or 3/4 of what we paid for Confluence.
I'll send you a price list also, Martin. Generally, also we sell through partners like yourself. So we will provide you with a price list, and then you can price it however you.
Okay, so let me assure our clients then that we'll put up this price list once we have it and when we compiled it on our wiki so that you can see that, and we can answer this for sure now. But a 2/3 or 3/4 of Confluence pricing is, in my opinion, something that we can work with. Thank you for that. Then let's focus on what are like use cases and target groups. Maybe Andreas has already thought about that. Maybe we can talk about this a bit.
I think you already nicely demonstrated what can be done in forms of like application for vacation forms or whatever. I can remember that we have clients who could maybe use this, and maybe you could elaborate a little bit on it, for controlling purposes, for collecting a set of data in a structured form, and then maybe storing it in external databases, having it available in Excel files for like further analysis. Is that something you usually would advise it to use it for?
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you about some clients, that's the easiest way to answer that question. So we have a lot of customers using it for from all the way from, some examples I gave you is Syracuse University, Austrian company called Zumtobel, which is a lighting company. They started out using it for very simple things. It's as I said, a survey that the business person can do everything by themselves without requiring an IT person to program it. They were very happy with the fact that they can create the form and have it live in 15-20 minutes, half hour, rather than wait for 2-3 days for IT. IT was very happy because they didn't have to program it. They didn't have to worry about where to save the submissions. It's all built into frevvo. Those are examples of where people start with. Webinar registration is another example. And then it goes all the way to very complex applications like some of our customers are Vodafone. Vodafone has built a global online portal using, I think, a bunch of Oracle technologies, and they use frevvo forms all over the portal with very complex integration with the Oracle backend database as well as the Oracle content management system. DuPont Pharmaceuticals uses it for an issue tracking system. Some of the other companies, other use cases are the structured data client dashboards example that I gave you, where I have a client dashboard, really the demo that I showed you, where they create internal customer service people can only edit the client dashboard, which is stored in Confluence pages using forms. So you cannot make mistakes, you cannot type wrong phone numbers and do that kind of validation. Obviously, HR, vacation request, expense reports, timesheets for contractors. We have several hospitals that use it for patient referrals as well, where you work with a clinic, and the clinic, I go to a clinic instead of, at least here in the US, you fill out a lot of paper forms when you go to the doctor's office. It's all electronic in this particular situation, where I fill in the form in a kiosk. then the doctor digitally signs it, and then it goes, a PDF image of the form is generated and sent to the hospital's document management system. One thing I should have mentioned is we can generate PDF, TIFF, JPEG, PNG images of the form also for submissions. So it's a very, very wide variety of applications, you know.
So you already mentioned, I think, yes, a very valuable information you gave there. You already mentioned like Oracle. Is it like if one of our clients wants to make sure that in the future it is a system to implement which is scalable in a way? Could you say a little bit more about like, I would assume it is possible to use external databases like an Oracle server, like SAP, like SQL relational databases?
Yes, absolutely. You know, so we have one of our customers is a company called Intralinks. Intralinks is here in the US, and they provide you know, huge services, secure document exchange services to their customers. They use it on top of completely an Oracle infrastructure. The Danish government of Denmark in their FDA uses this on WebSphere. Absolutely, you can use it with a wide variety of backend systems and databases. You can deploy it in WebSphere, an Oracle WebLogic, Oracle application server if you want. Obviously, we provide a bundle in Tomcat as well. In the second half of the year, we will also be providing a version which supports clustered servers. So you can deploy it in a clustered environment and you know, scale using clustered application servers. You can today deploy it in a fault-tolerant environment. So there's a server and a spare, but the spare is not active. It's more active passive. Second half of the year, it will be active as well. And we have customers that are using this for very large applications today.
Okay, so we understand, and I think it's great to know that from the technical perspective, it is a great and powerful tool. It is flexible for a whole range of business applications. I think that's good to know.
Okay, let's.
And it's very easy to use.
Okay, that would.
I can second that. I created the form for our historical chronic and a couple of others, and we are using frevvo already in our public instance heavily. So. Thank you very much, Ashish, for this introduction into your plugin. And whenever anybody of the viewers of this video or this live session has questions, he can ask us. I see that we still have some questions on the chat. Maybe you can also look at them, and
I'm happy to answer them. It's still very early here, so I got time.
so one is in German, and it's not about frevvo. Okay. Magnus Roder said Ustream is an American provider, and unfortunately in Germany sometimes the video is very slow, so he complains about that. We can change that. He was asking about the cost again.
I will send this to you today.
Yeah,
it's better that you provide the
let me just repeat that in German. Die Kosten für frevvo liegen bei 2/3 bis 3/4 dessen, was Sie für Confluence schon bezahlt haben. Das bedeutet, wenn Sie heute für Confluence zum Beispiel 1.000 Euro an Lizenzkosten bezahlt haben, dann müssen Sie mit einer Gebühr zwischen 600 und 750 Euro für frevvo Lifeforms rechnen. I would say that frevvo is not a cheap plugin, but it's very powerful. It can do a lot of things with that. And in a professional environment where you have a successful wiki, I think it's well worth the cost. We have another question from Rainer Wild. Can data be stored in different places? For example, Excel and a database at the same time?
Yes, I mean, that particular example, yes. I mean, there are certain limitations, you know, but by and large, yes, the basic answer is the data is always automatically stored in the submissions repository unless you turn it off. Hopefully you don't turn that off. And then in addition to the submissions repository, document actions allow you to send it to a database, to your own web application, and an email simultaneously, for example. So, 3-4 places at a time is pretty easy to do.
Okay, so this is what we have in as questions for now. Thank you very much for. I would like to clap all the or see all the viewers and us clap our hands for Ashish for getting up this early. Yeah, like 5 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much. And
no problem at all. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and thank you for the audience for all the questions. And yeah, actually, no more things for now. We are looking forward to implementing your plugin with a couple of clients.
No problem, and I will be in touch today itself with regarding pricing, so you can provide that information immediately.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.